Yo guys, what is up? It is MasterDavros here, bringing us here another commentary today on Halo 5. Today we're going to be talking about the Warzone mode in Halo 5, and I'm going to be listing some of my personal innovations, some creative stuff which I think would make Warzone fresh and innovative again for Halo 6. So, the mode has been one of the most popular, if not the most popular modes in Halo 5 up until now. It has proved to be really successful when it comes to just for anyone to be hopping in for fun, using your cool wreck weapons to just destroy other people or vehicles, unless of course the mode becomes extremely frustrating when you get farmed at a base or your home base. But anyway, we're going to be talking here about some of the innovations I've come up with. These are quite creative, but for this video we're going to be assuming that Free Industries keep the same concept of Warzone for Halo 6. So that means you have 3 bases that you have to take over in order to have access to the enemy's core. And you get points by killing or controlling bases, and of course by killing bosses. So these same concepts will be existing in Halo 6 Warzone ideally. Of course they might change the concept of Warzone entirely or modify it hardcore, but as a safe bet, we can assume that they will keep the same concept but add some features on top of it. These are some of the features which I think would highly benefit the gameplay of Warzone and of course make it more interesting for the player, more diverse, etc. So let's talk about vehicle balance, wreck vehicle balance at first in Halo 5. We have some really overpowered wreck vehicles as it is right now. We have, for example, the Banshee Ultra, which is possibly one of the most overpowered vehicles in Halo 5. Basically, you can just spam in some flips, and you can constantly spam in the torpedoes. It is really powerful, has high damage resistance, and is definitely really hard to take out. Normally, when players see it, they don't feel exactly motivated to try and take it out. Some people will be shooting at it, but most of you guys will be trying to run away from it, because it's definitely really hard to take out. So how do we make fighting these vehicles more motivating for other players and newer players alike? So this is a balance which I came up with. It might not be the ideal solution, but I think it could do the trick. So we could remove shields for all vehicles, all air vehicles, so that would include the Wasp vehicles as well as the Banshees. I would slightly increase the armor health as a bonus for that, but I would add more layers of destruction in these vehicles, so more pieces would fall off the Banshee or the Wasp after just shooting a few bullets or multiple bullets at them. If you have more layers of destruction, I think it would motivate the players to continue to attack the Banshees, and also to add an extra layer of skill, because at the moment you can just easily get away with your Banshees and have your shields pop up, and if you're an Ultra Banshee, the shields are pretty strong, so you can do some heavy damage before having to retreat for a little bit. Then my next point here is to do with AIs on the map. At the moment the AIs aren't exactly that interesting. They're a really good concept in Warzone to have like AIs on top of players around, but it hasn't been exactly executed properly. People want aggressive AI mobs basically. At the moment we only have stationary bosses that move around in one location. However, let's have some aggressive AI mobs. In certain sections of the game, I visualize mobs of AI enemies led by a mini-boss which would storm bases and attempt to take over these bases. The bosses would be mini-bosses, like I said, so maybe like 25-point bosses, not exactly bullet sponges. So if you have these mob enemies attacking bases, they could take it over. This would stop the farmers on paper, at least, just on paper. As we all know, the team needs all bases to attack the enemy core, so let's say we have a farming team kind of trying to farm you. These mob AI enemies could come and take over one of the bases, then your core base will be safe, and the farmers won't be able to attack you. They'll have to come back and defeat all the AI enemies and take over the base again. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Then you could have more simple AI, aggressive AIs which would come around the map, roam around the map as well, just join in the general fight, not go after bases, but just join a general fight in the center of the map or side, whatever. Then come into a different concept here. This is not this is kind of a debatable one. It could be good on paper, but it might not be exactly necessary, but it is creative in my opinion. We could have upgradable base system in Warzone, which would feature an in-game voting system that can lead to upgradable base systems after holding a base for a multiple time. And you'd have multiple upgrades which your teammates and you can vote to choose. So for example, maybe one upgrade could be having more marines to defend your base, more vehicles to spawn at a time, or even external mountable turrets at your base, and etc. And of course, to make it balanced, you'd make it so that the upgrades would reset after the base is taken over by a different enemy team. Next point, dynamic bosses. So some bosses currently defend themselves in an area with high guards. We could of course make that system return. We can have these defensive bosses with their guards, make them high point targets. But then you also can have aggressive bosses move around the map, like I already mentioned, but also in a different way. Instead of just taking over one base, they could go around taking bases, or they could go around on a killing spree. For example, you have an aggressive boss such as the Warden Eternal. You know, he's not exactly too popular at the moment. He could run around the map and go on a mad killing spree. It actually did happen in a Halo 5 game once to me. It was pretty cool, but it was a unaccountable glitch. Well, not glitch, but whatever. Anyway, so moving on. We could have a higher cooldown rate on most of the powerful vehicles. We have these super powerful Banshee Ultras. They might be returning Halo 6, who knows, but also you have the Phaeton Helioses, the Hannibal Wasp. These are all powerful air vehicles. And at the moment, if you have, for example, team of 12 or 6 even, they can kind of exploit these vehicles and have a lot of these vehicles on the map, which makes it a lot easier for them to coordinate and just continue to spawn trap or completely wreck people to get kills. We can avoid coordinate teams spamming the vehicles if you put a higher cooldown rate on vehicles. So if you have a higher cooldown of vehicles, the farmers won't be able to spam in as many vehicles as much, which would be really helpful. Just a suggestion. And then this is another little gameplay change here to do for wreck thing. You know the bayonet? Yeah, it has a pretty high melee range at one Halo 5. It has a melee range like of a energy sword, almost, or maybe exactly the same, but its melee launch is ridiculously overpowered, and it's a one-hit kill, and it's a loadout thing. I'll just nerf it. I wouldn't make it a two-hit kill, keep the one-hit kill system on it, but just reduce the melee lunge range. That would definitely help us out a bit. Then I would also nerf the health and the aimbot abilities of the mythic enemies. If you do that, I believe that more people will be encouraged to go for them, because, for example, in some maps you have these mythic enemies, especially those spawning on top of the temple on Attack of Sanctum. They're really powerful, the bullet sponges, and not many people are encouraged to go for them. Only some people go for them. Sometimes people actually do go for them and kill them, but it's not actually that often. Sometimes people just prefer to leave them and go for the basic Spartan kills, etc. Then this is another point. Some people would really like this. Some people have been asking for Falcon, for example, in Halo 5. Team vehicles that can support groups of 4 players or higher. Those would be really cool, because I think it would be pretty cool for people to gather a group of players and storm a garage or something with this vehicle. You can make those stuff cheap in terms of wreck points. I don't know, but team vehicles would definitely spice things up a little bit. But definitely put some armor on them, because we wouldn't want to give someone an easy kill tackler or something with a Spartan laser. And then my final point, I know a lot of people would agree with this one for sure, customizable loadout systems. So we currently have way too many loadout weapon variants to pick from in Warzone, and it's kind of a pain. You have to go to your favorite ones sometimes. It would be nicer and definitely cleaner to choose the variants to appear on your screen in-game together with the base versions, of course. So these are all the points I have. I hope you guys enjoy them, and feel free to suggest some ideas in the comment section below as well, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.